Hey guys, welcome back. This is another or the second white belt problems viewer submission video. This is from a gym friend of mine, Joey. You probably saw him in a couple of the demo videos in the past. And just for a little bit of context, Joey is still recovering from a wrist injury, surgery, if I'm not mistaken, from a couple of weeks ago. And a few days before recording this, we just covered a little bit about tendencies in terms of not being pinned as easily or voluntarily going supine, and he sent this video for us to review. And let's just take a look at what we can learn from this. Now, just to be clear, I'm not the type who just watches these videos and points out mistakes after mistakes, because honestly, like, unless you're a top tier competitor, I think all of us will have a lot of mistakes. It'll be a lot more useful and fruitful to just point out what the person is doing right and specific instances that could impact and improve their experience in training as soon as possible without memorizing too much stuff. All right, so let us go. And the video is sped up 1.25 just so that we don't stretch it out too long. So again, just watching this from the start, I think I can already commend Joey for something that I think he has improved from a couple of months ago, and that is maintaining as much contact points against the guard player, against a guard passer as much as possible while he's playing underneath. And this instance where he's trying to do a wrestle up is something that we talked about just a few days ago, and that's a great sweep off of that, and that is pretty amazing. This is one part that I'm not really quite sure whether they have an agreement of some sort of kind of like when we switch positions, let's chill and let you work. Because one of these things that you saw that Joey kind of became stagnant on top and was able to give up an arm drag and off to a sweep. And I think this is the first point that I want for him to realize that when he gets into a side control situation, the odds are extremely high that the person will progress to mount. Developing the sensitivity to prevent the mount from happening or using that mount transition to make your escape would be a lot better than dealing with the mount itself, right? So that's one thing, and you will see that later on. It'll happen again. The second is keeping your elbows close to your body during those movements. Again, you don't have to be extremely aware of whether or not a kimura is coming, but as you can see, a lot of the times when he gets into trouble in terms of the submission threat is when he allows that arm to cross his center line. That happened during the arm drag earlier, and then it happened during the kimura, and now it's happening for this head and arm situation right now. The top person was able to get a good carotid adjustment, and eventually I think he got a tap off a knee on belly here. And again, it is one thing to learn how to escape things, but it's better to prevent things from happening from developing the sensitivity first. Again, Joey's doing a good job maintaining contact, preventing the guard pass. And here's the third thing I want him to focus on, and the awareness of when the soles of his feet are pointing away, you're going to get past. So you need to find a way to maintain that. We're going back to the side control situation. Mount is incoming. It's pretty much a guaranteed thing for most white belts and blue belts to transition to from a side control. And now you end up with the same combination of not being able to prevent the mount transition, and then getting your arm across your center line that resulted to the head and arm. So again, Joey's playing guard here. As you can see right now, like, he voluntarily shrimped out and gave up side control, and now we're back to the mount position, and eventually you will see that the head and arm setup is already there, the carotid is already there. Bailed on it, but now we ended up with a kimura situation again. It's a good awareness to kind of turn and escape with your flat back, but you have to keep your elbows close to the ribs, otherwise you're just going to go back to the previous position or give up a kimura again. So I think that's a very good sign. Highly logical next step for the person is to try to get to mount if you do not turn away to give up the back, for example, right? So being aware that the mount is coming, meaning get your elbow knee connection as soon as you can, shrimp out, and prevent that mount that knee from sliding across your midsection is a good sensitivity training to add on. The second thing is make sure to be aware to keep your arm, especially like your upper triceps to your elbow, not to get cross your center line unnecessarily, because a lot of bad things can happen there because you lose a lot of framing, you lose a lot of strength, and you lose a lot of leverage when that happens, and it opens you up to a lot of upper body submissions, whether it's strangulations or arm attacks. And then the last thing is when during guard, if they're not pointing towards your partner, odds are high that you're going to get flanked or your guard is going to get passed because essentially they have already cleared your foot line, your sole of your foot line, and it doesn't take much really to get past the knee line unless you have a pretty good guard. So I hope that's helpful, and until then, see you again, and hope you like this. Jiu-Jitsu Uncle out.